Welcome to the explainer. Okay, picture this. You've just spent a ton of time, effort, and let's be real, a lot of money setting up this pristine, gorgeous new aquarium. The hardscape is spot on, the water is cycling, and then, out of nowhere, bam, everything is covered in this ugly, brown, varnish-like sludge. It's incredibly frustrating. Honestly, it's a little heartbreaking when you were going for that crystal clear look, right? Well, today we are diving deep into this exact phenomenon, the infamous brown aquarium surprise. We're going to dissect exactly what these diatom blooms are and what they actually mean for the health of your newly established ecosystem. Okay, let's dive into this because the very first thing you're probably asking yourself when you see this brown dust smothering your brand new sand and pristine rocks is, wait, is my new tank diseased? And hey, it's a completely valid fear. You want everything to be absolutely perfect. But I want to immediately deflate that tension for you right now. Take a breath. In almost every single case, this unsightly sludge, not a disease, not even close. It's actually a highly common, entirely temporary little window that almost every fresh tank goes through as it matures. So let's formally debunk this disease myth once and for all. Our culprit here is the diatom. They show up as this brown, dusty, almost varnish-like algae, usually popping up right after your first few water changes, exactly when your tank's biological filtration is just starting to wake up and mature. So they aren't an infection. Actually, what's totally mind-blowing about diatoms is that they're basically microscopic architects. Yeah, literally. They pull available silicates right out of your water to build themselves these tiny, intricate glass houses. So really, they're just biological opportunists, taking full advantage of the very specific, unique chemistry found in a brand new setup. To really wrap our heads around why this happens, we need to think of your new aquarium as the empty ecosystem. Think about it. When a tank is first filled up with water, a stable ecosystem simply doesn't exist yet. The beneficial bacteria that convert waste, they're only just forming very gradually. The natural balance between algae competitors and algae winners hasn't been established at all. It is a fragile, wide-open new world. Because the broader microbial community is still kind of unpacking its bags, diatoms have the absolute perfect opportunity to just rush in and outcompete other organisms for all the available resources. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is that we can actually pinpoint the exact recipe fueling this rapid growth. It essentially boils down to two primary ingredients acting as a massive catalyst in this immature biofilm environment. First up, available silicates. These are the literal building blocks for those microscopic glass houses we were just talking about. And in a new tank, they are everywhere. They're coming from your source water, the first sand you just poured in, your rocks, certain additives, or even just from disturbing the surface of the sandbed. Now you combine that abundant building material with the second ingredient, light, which acts as the engine driving the growth, and boom, you've got yourself a short-term explosion of brown algae. So you're standing there staring at your very brown tank, and the next logical question hits you. Is this just the normal cycle doing its thing, or do we actually have a larger problem on our hands? Well, let's build a clear, structured framework right now. That way you can accurately diagnose your tank's actual condition without constantly second-guessing yourself. I really want to contrast these two realities, mostly to reassure you about what good actually looks like in this hobby. In a completely normal phase, the diatoms are very dust-like and honestly incredibly easy to wipe or siphon away. The bloom peaks and then naturally fades out over a few weeks as your biofilm develops and the other organisms start taking over. And most importantly, there are absolutely zero sudden water parameter crashes. But on the flip side, a major problem sign is when that bloom aggressively persists, or if it expands way beyond that early settling window. Like if it bounces right back the second after you clean it, and it's usually hanging out with unresolved cycling issues, we're talking ongoing ammonia or nitrite spikes. If you are seeing that gradual fading without aggressive intervention, you can relax. You are perfectly on track. But what if your tank is exhibiting those stubborn problem signs? I mean, the diatoms aren't just going to magically fade away on their own at that point. This means we need to put on our detective hats and investigate the underlying chemical and environmental conditions that are actively fueling the issue, keeping the whole ecosystem trapped in this immature state. Okay, so there are several common environmental factors that can really prolong this bloom. First, if you've got high silicates in your tap or well water, you are essentially providing an all-you-can-eat buffet for the diatoms with every single top-off. Combine that endless food source with an overly intense or excessively long lighting schedule during the tank's super-sensitive early stage, and man, they will just explode. Add to that heavy feeding, which introduces excess dissolved nutrients way before your biological filtration is mature enough to handle it, and you've got a perfect storm. In these scenarios, weak filtration or frequent disruptions are keeping the biological maturity critically low. This makes diatoms just one highly visible symptom of a much larger, unresolved cycling problem under the hood. So if we've identified a prolonged issue, we shift into the triage phase, fixing without overcorrecting. And listen, I literally cannot emphasize this enough. When hobbyists see a persistent brown bloom, the natural instinct is to absolutely panic and reach for the most aggressive solutions possible. Don't do it. We want to avoid unnecessary chemistry and panic-induced overcorrections at all costs. Overreacting here can actually disrupt the delicate, beneficial bacteria you do have. You could end up resetting your entire cycle, making the whole frustrating situation last even longer. No way do we want that. So the crucial point is following low-risk, practical routines so you don't stall the cycle out. Start by just simply reducing your photo period to keep the lighting moderate. That alone significantly slows down diatom growth. While the lights are low, you can gently wipe the glass and carefully siphon the sand so they don't reestablish dominance. Just whatever you do, avoid scrubbing your rocks completely raw. Pair this gentle physical removal with consistent water changes that make sense for your specific cycling stage. And finally, keep your feeding incredibly steady, but definitely not excessive. It's super tempting to feed heavily just to try and force the cycle to finish up, but trust me, resist that urge. Now, if you've done all of that, you've been patient, and the bloom still shows absolutely zero signs of naturally resolving, well, then we can look at additional filtration adjustments. But I strongly advise you to only deploy these methods if it's absolutely necessary. First, you can test your source water. That'll confirm if your tap water is actually the silicate culprit. If it is, then you might look into silicate-reducing products or specific filtration approaches. Also, definitely double-check that your filter is properly sized for your specific aquarium volume, and make sure it's running continuously without any unnecessary disruptions. All right, let's bring this all together with the ultimate takeaway. I really want to reassure you that you don't need to stress over the brown phase. It happens to the best of us. With a little bit of patience and consistent, level-headed maintenance, your newly established aquarium will reach a point of stability. The beneficial bacteria are going to catch up, nutrient uptake will improve, and those pesky diatoms, they're naturally going to lose their competitive advantage as vibrant, much healthier growth patterns finally begin to take over all your tank surfaces. And this brilliantly illustrates our core philosophy from the source material today. Check this out. Treat diatoms less like a crisis and more like a reading on your tank's progress. I mean, wow, right? It completely reframes the entire issue. That brown film isn't a disaster. It's really just an indicator light on your aquarium's dashboard. It's literally telling you that the biological engine is booting up, resources are actively being consumed, and the ecosystem is working hard to find its long-term balance. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. The next time you look at that annoying brown dusting on your freshly aquascaped tank, don't react with panic. Take a step back, pause, and ask yourself, what is my tank actually trying to tell me right now? Is it saying, hey, I'm brand new and I'm just building my biological foundation? Or is it maybe saying, hey, I'm a little stuck and I need a slight adjustment to my lighting or source water? By observing your tank's ecosystem proactively, instead of just reacting out of fear, you naturally become a much better, significantly more successful hobbyist. Keep a close eye on those dashboard lights, trust the biological process, and most importantly, enjoy the journey of your maturing aquarium.